Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to season 11, episode 55, overall 605 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210. Tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969 and has been the sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show for the past 3 years and counting. I hope everybody is doing well on this. I can't believe it's already Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. We're also couple days away from the 2025 World Series between your Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Looking forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to my guest today. This is her first appearance on our show. We met through TikTok, and our guest name is Shabana. I hope I get it right. Shabana Mota. She's known as the HR coach. She is a seasoned HR consultant with over 10 years of experience in employee relations, leadership coaching, and strategic recruitment. That was a tongue twister there. So we're going to bring on Shabana Mota right now. And we're going to talk a little bit about her career as a HR consultant and HR coach as well. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you?
I am doing good. And I want to say thank you so much for coming on my 605th episode today.
Thank you for having me. Super excited, as this is my first. So
hopefully not your last.
Hopefully not.
Did I get your first name right? I want to make sure.
So you know what? I go with everything. Shabana is generally what people call me. Shabana, if you can pronounce it, is the correct way.
Shabana. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I should have asked you instead of assume. Never assume. Never assume in media or radio, because everybody's pronunciations can be different from what it's spelled out.
Absolutely. And you can have the same name and the same person in front of you, and they'll pronounce it differently. So,
okay. So Shabana. Okay. Good. Anyways, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm taking some time, spending a lot of time going out, getting some fresh air, talking to people, connecting to them through TikTok. And there's a lot of sad stories out there. So I'm happy that I can be of some help and service to them.
And it was nice to connect with you on TikTok, and I can relate from my former career, which it was a good career. I was there for over 2 decades, but at the end, it turned into a work divorce, and I've closed one chapter of my work life and opened up a new life. And being 53, I'm just trying to prove to people that age is just a number, and you don't have to pick one career and stick with it your entire life.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And that's why we do have the second career path line as well, right? So if you exit something, but you know that there's still a lot more that you can give, but you want to try a different industry, you can go through the second career.
Absolutely. And currently right now, I'm speaking to local high schools in the Kitchener-Waterloo area once a month about the importance of education in the classroom, but education just doesn't stop when you're out of a classroom.
Yeah.
And also to young people, you don't have to pick one career and that's it the rest of your life. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5 different careers.
Yeah, actually, there were some recent studies and they said that the average person now entering the workplace will have about 4 to 5 different careers, right? And that is a change from, I would say, when I was growing up, where you would choose one career and you stuck to it for the rest of your life, right? And now people are switching careers because we understand that there's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of options out there. Just because you went to post-secondary education for that one career doesn't mean that that's it, right? You have lots of options.
Absolutely. And to be honest, my former career prepared me for this because
Mhm.
being in security, I had to learn how to think on my feet, how to talk, but most importantly, had to listen and also empathy too. So in a way, that career kind of prepared me. And at the point in 2020, I was kind of ready for a career switch.
Mhm.
And you know how I got into this? By volunteering. I was volunteering
Oh,
with a local basketball team. They needed a camera operator. I'm like, okay, I'll help out, but I have no idea to operate a camera. And at the end of the game, after they showed me what I needed to do, they're like, they paid me for it. And then they
oh,
referred me to a local cable company. And that led to me doing camera work for the local company. And then that led to my podcast. So volunteering and being at the right place at the time, I just
mhm.
found my passion. And I was 47 at the time.
Absolutely. And actually, that's what I say to the youngsters that are leaving school and post-secondary education. If you're living at home, if you don't have bills, you don't have expenses, volunteer. That is the best way to get your name out there, to get the experience you need to put on that resume. There's so many jobs out there right now where it's an entry level position, but they want 5 years or 2 years of experience, right? It's entry level. How are you going to get that experience without an entry level position? So the best way to position yourself to get that career you want or the experience is to volunteer your time.
And by the way, I volunteered 30 years of my life. I was a big brother for 16 years. I volunteered at local humane societies. And for this new career, yeah, volunteering at a local TV company station and a pro basketball team kind of led to me. So volunteering, it's good to give back to your community,
It
but
is.
sometimes you can find a new career through volunteer work. And starting my own media company up too, I've had to do a lot of free work at the beginning, and getting that experience is huge.
It is.
Not volunteering, but doing freelance media work for the CFL and a number of pro sports teams. I didn't go to school for this, but I've learned a lot from these professional sports teams. So whether you're in school or you're doing it self-taught like I am, make sure you're doing some volunteer work or make sure you're getting opportunities, maybe not paid opportunities,
Yeah.
but those opportunities can lead into a career and to paid opportunities.
Yeah. And you build connections, right? Because there's people of all walks of life that are going in for volunteering. And so you'll come across some really great professionals and people in different industries that give you good exposure, good connections. And you can pull on those connections later on in life when you're trying to enter different areas.
Absolutely. Connection and networking, not just in radio media, is huge, by the way. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you this too, Shabana. How much has the workforce changed over the years? You know, the old days, I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s. You used to put on some nice clothes, get your cover letter, resume, go to business, shake hands, and get your job
Yeah.
interviews this way. Just tell my audience how much technology has changed that and how much more difficult it is now to
Mhm.
look for a job than it used to be.
It is incredibly, incredibly difficult. And I would say right now is probably the hardest market that we've seen in a long time. There's a lot of jobs out there, a lot of high expectations, and you can't just walk into an office and ask to speak to a hiring manager, share your resume, talk to them, put yourself in front of them. Now you have to apply online. All of the options are on an ATS, so a customer's actual website, Indeed, LinkedIn, so many other websites like FlexJobs, etc., where you're putting up your resume. And so you're not able to give your personal first impression. Your first impression is that piece of paper. And if you're not good at resume writing, if you're not good at writing a cover letter, you're taken out right away. If you don't know how to trick that ATS into actually considering your application, then you're cut before any physical person has actually reviewed any applicants, right? Because the system has already weeded you out. It's so difficult these days.
I wanted to ask you this as well. Do you do cover letters and resumes too?
I do not. Honestly, I was going to offer it. I'm great at reading and reviewing resumes because I've been doing it for over 10 years, closer to 15 years now. I've been screening resumes and I can tell you what works and what fits, but I cannot write them. I hate writing them. I'm so terrible at it. So I
Same,
actually
same here. Same here.
I reached out to somebody who's an executive coach, and they will optimize your resume for like an executive level resume, cover letter. They'll optimize it. They'll take what you have, talk to you, and then edit it in order to make it successful to the specific career or industry that you're looking for. So that's who I use for myself.
Because unfortunately, the last year and a half, I've had to change my resume 3 times, and I
Mhm.
haven't found the right people to help me out with that. So that's the next thing I have to do is find the right person that can get my cover letter resume up to the standards I need for radio and media work as well.
Yeah, perfect. So I can share that with you a little bit later. Maybe it's something we can add to the comments for anybody else who's looking for it as well.
Okay, definitely. Since I'm based out of Guelph and the show's international, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am in Markham, Ontario. I grew up in and around the GTA over here. Finished my university at Ryerson University, now TMU. Started my career just really not believing I was going to end up in HR, although that's what my education was. I worked in retail, I worked in customer service, and then still ended up tripping into HR because my passion has always been to help people. And that was the whole reason I entered this field. I knew from the beginning everybody hates HR. That's the first thing my aunt told me when I said I wanted to do it as a career. And she said, "So you want to be the person that everyone hates? That's the goal here?" And I was like, "No, I know how bad it is. And HR is positioned to help the people. So if you get the right people in the right seats, maybe they can actually impact some change." So that's why I joined HR. That's why I'm still here, close to 15 years later, because I really love my people. And I believe that you can kick up a balance between management and employees. And if you treat each other with respect, you can actually find a good balance where everyone feels valued and they feel safe.
What would you say to somebody out there that's had a bad experience with human resources? And what are some of the biggest stereotypes as a HR, by the way, going on nowadays?
So I would say I came across it a lot on social media. Everyone hates HR and everyone's got a story about that bad HR experience. HR is for the company. They're not going to support you. They're going to do what management wants. And they'll find a way to make it work for the manager, right? They'll find a loophole to do what they're doing. And, I've been on the receiving end of that too. It's not like it's non-existent. I think we've all had experiences with bad HR. But that's kind of the stereotype that we're not there and that we're there for the company. And the response here is really we're all there for the company. We're all employed by the company. We all have to do our job. We don't really have a choice. HR doesn't have as much autonomy that you believe that they actually do. I can provide strategies. I can try to talk people off a ledge of terminating somebody. But in the end, I don't get to make the choices or the decisions, and nobody in HR does. All we have to do is be the face of the bad news. And that's when people see us. We are the scapegoat. So bad policy, hi, HR is giving it to you. Termination, HR is the one giving it to you. Layoff, HR is the one giving it to you. Not because we chose it, not because we had control, but because our job is to be the bearer of bad news.
I guess one of the qualities of being in HR is you have to have thick skin and not take things personally as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I would say my career in customer service definitely helped before I went into HR because people are always yelling at you. And whether, I've worked with some great people who still yelled at me, but would preface and say, "I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling because I'm upset." Right. And then they would keep on going. So really understanding not to take it personally took a while to get there, being able to bracket. I do see a therapist on a regular basis, specifically for that reason, to kind of help me talk about what I'm struggling with and how to bracket better. So bracketing is really separating yourself, still being empathetic, still listening to what people need, but being able to listen without absorbing that into myself and taking it home with me and being depressed and upset about other people's experiences and how out of control. I don't have control over your life or your finances. There's nothing I can do about it. And I definitely struggle with not being able to help people, but that's where bracketing comes in.
Not just radio and media, because I found this out too, but how huge is listening skills, especially in HR? And also, how important is it to have a work-life balance in whatever career you're in too?
Yeah, listening skills are huge because majority of the issues and concerns that walk in your door can be resolved by just listening. You don't have to say anything. All you have to do is let them tell you what the issue is, what the problem is. Sometimes people need a sounding board. They can come to their own solutions. They can find their own resolutions through it, but they want a sounding board of somebody to help them de-escalate, right? So my job was always to listen and then de-escalate. Let me bring the emotions down, help you regulate your nervous system, and then I will help you find a solution, whether that's you leading the solution or me assisting it in the back end. Sorry, what was the second? Communication and work-life balance.
Work-life balance, yes.
Yeah. So that's definitely huge. I
write down stuff. Sorry, I write down stuff because sometimes I forget. So I make sure now I write everything on a piece of paper.
I should have brought a notebook with me for sure. But yeah, so work-life balance is very important. And I would definitely say at the start of my career, struggled a lot with it because I am a workaholic. I am a recovering workaholic. Okay. I take my work home with me. I never turn off. I have terrible boundaries. So people were calling me from 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night. And sometimes I would get calls on New Year's at midnight. I would get calls on holidays, on vacations, on sick days. And I took them because although, I'm not saving lives 100%. I'm not in a medical field. It's not brain surgery. It's not huge. But I still felt the need that I had to be available at all times to support my team. And slowly, I've realized that that's taking a toll on my own family. So if you're noticing for yourself that, you're really quick to have a reaction or to react to things rather than taking a breath and answering in a calm tone, then that's your cue that your work-life balance is not working, right? And I think it's definitely something where right now, a lot of the data coming out is that work-life balance is a myth. It doesn't actually exist. And it depends on where you are. If you're running your own business, work-life balance doesn't exist, right? Because you've got to go full tilt and there is no balance whatsoever. You want to make changes, you want to grow your business, it's not going to happen. You want to grow your career and you want to put everything out of the way, there is no balance. You're sacrificing part of your family and your personal life in order to make that career happen. But if you're truly looking for that work-life balance, you want a low-level position, a medium-level position. You don't want responsibility. You don't want to be in leadership and management because the expectation is always that you're going to lose your personal time to be able to respond to your team and be available to them. So always take time for yourself. Do a decompression after work. This is something I learned. I leave work, I go to a park, I go to a lake, somewhere where I can see some water. I take some breaths, I calm down, and then I come back home without all that work stress on top of me so I can walk in and have my personal space be a negativity-free zone.
Have you ever felt burnout or have you seen someone from your profession suffer burnout?
Yeah, I've been there. I've experienced it. And that's what made me take the steps that I needed, which was getting therapy and doing the decompressions and taking the steps necessary for my mental health and actually putting the boundaries in place. And I've coached lots of my team too, because a lot of my managers and leadership team that I've worked with have also found themselves at the door of burnout, right? They're emotional, have to walk away because they're having a breakdown. Little stressors or changes at work are overwhelming and they're having large reactions instead of small reactions. And that's all a sign that your body's just not there. You haven't regulated, you haven't taken the time for yourself. Because if you imagine a cup of water, and you need to constantly fill this cup to keep it here and to make sure that you're able to manage your day and manage your emotions and your balance and not be burnt out. But as you continue to spill out, which I won't spill out because I don't want to make a mess, but as you continue to spill out and give to other people, you're giving to your team, you're giving to your people, you're giving to your family, this gets low and low and low. And as it gets to the bottom, that's your burnout. You have nothing left to give. And when you have nothing left to give, you're done for. So how are you helping people? So you really need to focus on making sure you do some self-care for yourself, whatever that looks like. For a lot of people, we pull away from self-care because we don't know what it means. We don't know what we can do. Self-care could be just writing down all the negative thoughts and getting them out of our head and out of the way. It could be taking time to just breathe. It could be watching trash TV. It could be sitting down and watching old sports reels, right? It could be anything that helps you actually bring your breathing back to normal and calms you down.
Wanted to ask you this as well. You mentioned therapy, and I've
Mhm.
done therapy as well, and it really helps. What are your thoughts on companies today? Do you find there's still enough programs out there for coworkers or employees who are having issues at work or at home? I think it was called EAP,
Mhm. Assistance plan.
Employee Assistance Plan. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
So almost every single benefit provider out there now also offers an EAP or an EFAP or Employee and Family Assistance Plan. So it comes bundled in with that benefit package. So most people do have access to it if you're working and if you're in the industry. I would say that majority of people are not taking advantage of it as much as they should be, right? This is free counseling, free therapeutic services, or discounted rates. Sometimes your health benefits will give you a certain dollar amount towards paid therapy, and you can do this above and beyond that free service as well. They're definitely out there. And I would say the great employers, the good ones that really focus on benefits, are actually bumping up the amount of dollars that they have for mental health, because that is where the biggest concern is. I would say since 2020, since COVID hit, there's been a big focus on mental health and the fact that no one's been taking care of it, right? You break a bone, you go to the doctor, you have a mental health breakdown, you shove it down in there, you ignore it, and you focus on everything else. That's how we've been taught to deal with it, right? So a lot of companies now are adding extra dollars specifically in that bucket for your mental health.
And there's still the stereotype. If you go see a therapist or a
Mhm.
shrink, there's something wrong with you. It's not, I disagree with that. I think it's the people who refuse to see a shrink or therapist. They're the ones that have the issues and they really should be seeing somebody.
Yeah, I agree. And it's usually the ones that you see going off, right? They have very big emotions, always angry, always aggressive. You bring up a small topic and it's just stone faced and angry. Those are the people that need to be seeking therapy, and not because, I want to insult you in any way whatsoever, but we've all been there, right? And you generally tend to take it out on your family the worst. And then once it starts leaching into that public setting, in the workplace, going to games, whatever else, and you see that type of response, you are way far past the point of being able to regulate yourself. And I would say for us growing up, we were never taught self regulation, but this is something they teach to kids going into school now. I have 3 young children, and my 6-year-old has been taught how to regulate his emotions. So he still gets very angry. He's 6, he's figuring it out, but he will stop and take a breath to help himself calm down. And he does the visual and the movement. And it helps to bring him down so he can actually manage what's going on around him. And that's what kids are being taught today. We were never taught that. And so we should be seeking therapy, because therapy teaches you how to do that.
100% agree with you. And also, too, I'm in my former career, too, at the end. I actually had to go on stress leave once, and my doctor,
Mhm.
who didn't believe in it, he's like, Chris, if you have to go on stress leave from your job because you're having anxiety and stuff, maybe it's time to look for your job.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get your thoughts too, as an HR consultant and an HR coach. What are your thoughts on stress leave? Do you think it is a good idea, or do you think if it's that bad where you need to go on stress leave, maybe it's time to move on?
Wow, that's such a charged topic. You have no idea. So I've coached lots of people to go on stress leave, because I think it's really important for people to recognize if they're having mental health issues or concerns, they need to talk to somebody. To go on a stress leave in Ontario, this is a job protected leave of absence. So technically, you can't be terminated, you can't be fired, you have to have a position to come back to. But this has to be documented, right? So you have to go to your doctor just like you did. You get a note from the doctor, you provide that to your employer, and you take a leave to manage your health, your mental health. I think it's great, because then people can come back a little bit more rested. They have boundaries, they understand how to implement space, they understand bracketing, and then they're able to figure out, am I only here because I don't know how to leave? Or am I here for the right reasons and I'm happy being here? Because when your mind is a complete chaos because of that stress, it's hard to make decisions. And you can't make the decision to quit because you're too scared to make the wrong decision. Right. So,
I can relate. I can relate. In my other job, I was there for over 2 decades. I probably should have been out of there sooner, but
mhm.
being older in life and I didn't know what I wanted to do, I basically, okay, I'm going to stay and just do the 40 hours and put in my time.
And that's what I don't know if you've heard quiet quitting. That was all the rage a little while ago. And that's exactly what it is, right? You stop going above and beyond. You stop doing the extras. You just come in, you do your job, you get out. You're just there for a paycheck, and that's it.
Can totally relate. Got to get your opinion on this too. Do you find mental health issues are growing nowadays,
Mhm.
especially in the last 20, 30 years with the internet and social media as well?
Absolutely. I mean, there is a certain amount of bullying that's occurring on the internet and on the web on a daily basis. Even people who are positive and, generally are on the right side of things tend to bully without even realizing that they're putting people down and what they're doing is wrong. There is this filter that is gone because of social media. And also, the younger generation, those that were coming up and growing through COVID, there was a lack of social skills there, right? They weren't exposed to people. They had to stay isolated. They weren't commenting or talking to people. And the only way was through social media. And there is no filter, absolutely no filter on social media. People say whatever is on their mind, whether it's rude, aggressive, bullying, toxic, they say it. Because a lot of times you can say it under a completely different name. It doesn't have to be you, it's not tagged to you. So you have freedom to speak and say exactly what's on your mind, regardless of how it's going to impact people. So definitely, I would say there is a rise because of social media. And it's a reason why, for my kids specifically, I'm keeping them off of social media and they don't have access to it because I want to make sure that they're able to understand how to regulate their emotions and how to decipher what people say to them, what's true and what's false, and not take it internally before they get access to it.
I was going to ask you this later, but since we've gotten into the topic now, do you feel, in your opinion, communication skills have shrunk in today's world?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I wanted to put out there to universities, to high schools, is that you need to have a specific training course on communication. What is communication? How do you communicate with people? What can you say? What can't you say? How to modulate your tone and your voice, because people don't realize that what they're saying is in a condescending tone because they haven't been doing it as often. If they're being sarcastic, that's fine with your buddies, but that's not okay in a work setting, right? So there's a lot of stuff that has to be taught that, just came naturally for us because when we grew up, it was very much, quiet, don't say anything. If you have something to say, it better be respectful, right?
I wanted to get your thoughts on this other word I wanted to use, belittling too, which is on
Mhm.
social media as well, and that can have an impact on people.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it happen a lot. And if you're not a big creator, a lot of the time you do get belittled a lot. And depending on your interest, your hobbies, people really push you down. What I will say though, one thing going for us on social media is that you can find your hyper focus, your interest, your hobby. You can find an entire group of people that have those interests. So it really has to come down to being able to not let those negative thoughts, belittling, rude, sarcastic comments really get to you. Understanding that this is when somebody says something bad or terrible, it's because it's something that's going on in their head. And usually it's thoughts that they have for themselves. And you need to just release that from yourself. It doesn't have to do with you, it has to do with where that person is mentally, emotionally at the time that they spoke.
Now, I haven't been in school in a long time, so I can't speak for that aspect of it. But
Mhm.
I know in the workplace, there's some people that are so focused on their smartphones instead of doing their jobs themselves. What are your thoughts on smartphones in the workplace and also in the classrooms as well?
So there's been lots of policies that have come out because of smartphones. So a lot of them are that your phones have to be put away in the classrooms. They have to be put away when you're at your desk, when you're at work and you're working. A lot of the complaints that I would get from leadership and executive leadership would be they would do their rounds, walk around the office, and did you see so and so was on their cell phone for 15 minutes before they even realized I was standing behind them. So people just really are not aware. You start going on your cell phone, you start scrolling a little bit, thinking that it's going to be just 10 or 20 seconds. I looked away from my screen, and 15 minutes later, you're still there and you've had zero improvement. So definitely a lot of talks with people about keeping their cell phones face down, turned away, and on emergency only response. I know there's a lot of schools that actually have the RF cages. And so you have to go to school, you put your phone into a locked case, which means no notifications, nothing can come through to it. It gets locked by the school, and it only gets unlocked as you exit the building.
Because I think they should have done that years ago. But I was lucky back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, there was no phones and stuff like that. Technology can be a good tool, can be a good use too, but it also can be a huge distraction in schools or in workplaces as well. And I've seen it.
Absolutely agree. It's a great resource. And honestly, we don't have payphones anymore. We don't have the option to go technology free anymore. You have to have a cell phone. What type of cell phone? That's totally up to you. And they are starting to bring back the old bricks, right? They're bringing back non-smartphones, so that if all you want is access to calling people for emergency purposes, you have it. And then you don't have any other type of thing that comes along with it. But our cell phones are basically our little computers now, right? You can work with them, you can do everything with them, which is great. I can contact people in case of an emergency, so I can never leave my house without my phone because I'm always worried something will happen. But the downside is you never shut off. You're never able to actually disconnect from work, disconnect from any projects that you're working on. If you need a day to decompress away from your phone and messages and emergencies and the world in general, because there's been a lot going on in the world, and news, negative news, you can't, because as long as you have your phone, you're bombarded with all that information. And so it's really important, with the way everything's going and how much technology we have access to, that we're actually instituting programs in our own houses where there is phone-free time, where you're away from all of that technology, just to kind of decompress, get away from the negativity. They say at least an hour before bedtime, 30 minutes to an hour before bedtime, no technology, so that you can actually fall asleep and get well rested.
I'm guilty of that. Being in media radio, sometimes I'm on my laptop or my phone until 2, 3 in the morning. And then when I shut off, it stimulates your brain. It's like caffeine. It takes a couple hours to unwind. So I totally agree with that as well. And I was going to ask you this question later, Shabana, but I think I'm going to ask it to you now. How much has technology changed the human resources industry even in the last 10 years?
You know what? It's made it both easier and harder at the same time. So lots of technology out there to help you kind of minimize the noise. You'll notice if you start applying to jobs, I can see something that goes up. This was posted 3 hours ago, has 100 applicants already. I know that by the time the day is over, you're going to be well over 200 applicants. I know by the time the week is over, you're going to be in 500 or 600 applicants. So screening resumes has become a lot easier because of the tools that are in applicant tracking systems and Indeed, where they're specifically looking for the keywords, and they've got questions to weed people out all automatically. So now your 600 or 700 applicants, sometimes 1,000, has dropped down to maybe 300 people. And now you're only reviewing those 300 applicants for the job. The way it's gotten more difficult is if somebody has not optimized, like we talked about, optimized their resume for those keywords, you've got fantastic candidates that are being tossed out on a regular basis. They're not being considered, right? There is a lot more information. There's a lot more bombardment. And that makes it a little bit hard to kind of see through and find everything you're looking for. It takes a lot more time to focus and screen everything and read documents. But the prevalence of technology means that there's so much more information available to you, where before you had to create a policy by going to the library and researching and getting physical documentation. Now I can sit at my desk and look up everything out there and get assistance from AI to put together a policy that covers every single area. And also ask AI, what is missing from this policy if I'm specifically in Ontario, Canada? And it will tell you.
Since you brought up that word AI, how much has AI changed everything? And do you find AI will continue to diminish the workforce going in the future?
So AI has changed a lot. All that is, artificial intelligence is really just a really great research tool. out there. So if you're terrible at Googling things, if you're terrible at research, AI will do it for you. You can just give it a few prompts and it will do it for you. But there's also a skill that's necessary to use those tools. So I don't think it's going to diminish jobs per se. I think maybe some entry level jobs where you've hired people specifically because there's such an inundation of requests that you need more people to respond to them. And now there are AI tools that can actually respond to those on a regular basis. Working in HR, and if you're dealing with the end user, you always get the same questions over and over again. What are my benefits? Where can I get my benefits? I forgot my password. How do I reset my password? I can't log in. I don't have access to this. Who do I go to? Those are the common questions you get on a regular basis. And there are AI tools now for HR that specifically can go in and will answer all those easy questions. You're talking about lead generating for your business, answering simple questions, and not having to be available every second of the day to respond in those chatbots. There's AI and technology specifically for that to make it more accessible for people around you and give them the information and the forms they need so that you can actually help them. So I think it's a great tool. I don't think it's going to diminish very many jobs because in order to use it properly, you need to have a skill set to be able to take advantage of it.
For those people that are watching our show live stream right now or on audio platforms, and they're struggling to get into a career or a job right now, what advice would you give to those people?
So I would say research as much about that industry, that job as you can. Take advantage of AI tools as well. If you can volunteer your time, go ahead and do that. Get on LinkedIn. You want to make connections within that industry. Type it into the search. It is free to do that as well. Type in the industry or the company into the search, and you want to hit that connect button with as many people within that industry as you can so you can start to build connections there and talk to people. It'll start showing up in their feed. Make sure that if you are using LinkedIn, that you are posting as well. You're not just reading other people's posts, but you're posting yourself, you're sharing other people's posts, you're sharing your own insights, because you're going to pop up constantly in front of those people that you want to get attention from, and they will see your name. And so when you apply, you're going to have a little bit of that recognition happening there too. Also, when you're applying to jobs, you want to apply to the job. And then give it about 12 to 24 hours. And then you're going to reach out to the recruiter that's listed on that job. Usually you can message them directly or their contact information is listed. And you want to send them a quick message saying, hey, I've applied to this position, really interested in speaking to you about my experience. Either you can attach your resume or just leave the message there. But what that does is it forces that recruiter to actually see your name. So if you were buried in 300 or 400 applicants, they've now seen your name and will go into their list of resumes, search you, and actually review your resume. This will ensure that you're actually reviewed. And hopefully that means that you're in there. And I've shared this on one of my other videos, but don't avoid applying to the jobs just because you don't have all of the qualifications. That is a wish list, right? We're looking for somebody who has all the qualifications.
Okay.
But if you don't have all the qualifications and none of the applicants have all the qualifications, I'm looking for the best fit. What type of qualifications do you have? Maybe you have something from another industry that's actually applicable in this way. You have a different skill set, a different approach, a different vision from past experiences. Highlight that in your cover letter. Make sure that it is actually seen and they notice it.
I'll be honest with you, there's been a few radio jobs I wanted to apply for, but I see, we want 3 years of broadcasting experience or like college and all this. And I'm like, okay, you know what? They're not even going to look at me. But you know what? Thank you for bringing that up. So no matter what, if you don't feel like you're qualified, put in for it anyways. And I wanted to ask you this too. Step out of your comfort zone. I'm obviously a talk show host, but I'm also the producer, the content creator. I edit video. I promote, market myself. Any career you go into, not just the one I'm in, how important is it to be able to wear many hats? It doesn't mean you have to be the best at everything, but to me, I think it's important to be well-rounded and learn as much as you can from that industry and career.
Absolutely. I mean, if looking at a career progression perspective, you're entering an industry, whatever that is, and you want to grow within that career, it only benefits you to really learn about all the different areas, to be cross-trained so that you can actually suggest and help and be somebody that they call on and say, I know they don't work in this department, but they have great ideas. I'd like to talk to them. All it does is put you in front of all the other people and all the other leaders within that organization to help you grow. So I think it's really important to really learn about the different areas, to be a jack of all trades, to wear multiple hats. The problem is you just have to have the right boundaries in place, because you can't just always be saying yes. If all you do is say yes, you're going to hit that burnout, right? And your projects are going to fall behind. You're going to start getting disciplinary action against you because the quality of your work has fallen. Meanwhile, X, Y, and Z coworkers that you've been helping out and assisting because you want to learn and expose yourself to the different areas are doing fantastic because of your assistance. So you want to make sure you always cover yourself first, get everything you're getting done, prioritize well, organize your day. And when you have some areas that are free, ask for help, ask to be included in meetings, ask how you can assist other people, or just get to know people in different departments. Go and talk to them, learn about what they do every day and what type of projects come in front of them.
I got a couple more questions for you, too. Are you still good with time?
Yeah, I'm still good with time.
Okay. How important is it to step out of your comfort zone? And this one I wanted to ask you as well. What are some do's and do nots in job interviews? Because I've had some job interviews where I felt good about it and I thought it was a good fit and it didn't work out. And then I've had some job interviews where it's like, oh, I was terrible and this isn't going to work out. And then they've offered me a job. Just thoughts on the do and do nots of interviews as well.
Yeah. So don'ts of interviews. You don't want to talk bad about your last employer, even if you left them because it was a raging dumpster fire. You're not talking about that. You want to be really positive about it. You don't want to talk negatively about any of your coworkers, managers, anyone like that. You want to make sure that you're focusing on your growth and how you're part of that team. Use terms like we, us. When I'm with the company, you want to make sure you're presenting yourself as somebody who's already part of the team, and how you can help. You don't want to show up dressed the wrong way. So overdressed or underdressed. Lots of people I've seen show up in sweatpants, dirty shirts, not clean. And so I know even if you're coming for an entry level position, you still have to look clean. So if you have the ability to, if they have a social media platform where they're posting pictures of their office, go through and look through those, see what people generally wear at the office on a regular basis. If this is something that has a door that you can actually come in, go in. If they provide services, maybe you can walk in and start inquiring just to see what the general office culture is. But most of the case, business casual is your safe area that you can go for clothing. Make sure that things are clean, they're neat, they're not dirty, don't have stains on them. Show up having done research. There is nothing worse than somebody showing up having done zero research about your company, zero research about what the job is, your values, your culture. If I'm asking, why do you want to work here? For one, I 100% know you want a paycheck. That is not in question. I'm very much aware of it. But I want to know, out of all the options that were out there, why did you want to interview with me? Was there something within my company that actually attracted you? Was there the values? Maybe it was the project. Some people have told me they really like the way the job description was written because it was so detailed. They fully understand what the expectations are. Sometimes it's the compensation, right? You can be completely honest, but don't show up not doing any research, because if you show up and you know nothing about that company, right away that tells them you're likely not a viable option for them.
Do you find professionalism is diminishing these days?
Yes. I would say one of my last employers, when I entered that workplace, I was really surprised by the lack of professionalism. And over time, as you get there, as you stay there, the culture rubs off, right? So then you also change the way that you're presenting yourself. You're maybe not as professional as you were when you first stepped in there, because the culture is a little bit more laid back. And I think there's pros and cons when it comes to that, right? Because let's be very, very honest. I'm dressed up professionally right now, but if I was wearing sweatpants, I'm the same person as I am right here. So my clothing really doesn't impact anything other than your opinion of me, right? So professionalism is very multifaceted. It's the language you use, it's how you speak, it's how you present yourself, how you respond in situations that are maybe aggressive, not positive. Maybe somebody doesn't have a positive thing to say about you. Professionalism is in the way that you present yourself every single day. I don't wear makeup. I don't intend to wear makeup for anyone, but it's something where I saw a video the other day on TikTok where somebody said, the expectation for you as a woman is you have to wear makeup when you walk out the door. And it was a woman saying this, right? If you're showing up without makeup on, then you're not professional and you don't want it. So there's definitely impressions out there, right? So it's about how you speak, how you present, how you connect with people, how you listen to them. That's what's going to get you the job, right? If you have an interview where you go in and you guys get off topic because you're relating on a personal level about other things that are going on, and you feel like buddies, you're likely getting that job, right? Because you've been able to connect with the person on a personal level, unrelated to the work, and you've already showcased your expertise. So really, it's how you show up and how you talk.
I know when I do freelance media work for a number of pro sports teams, I don't wear hats. I don't wear sweatshirt hoodies or jerseys.
Yeah.
I wear a nice dress shirt and maybe some casual pants because even though if I'm not working for these teams, you want to be taken seriously as a professional. So having the right clothes, it doesn't mean you have to wear a tuxedo or a suit, but just being in professional clothes really goes a long way, in my opinion, from what you're saying too.
Yeah, it shows that you're interested. And that you want this position. I can tell you, working in HR, it doesn't matter how great the interview went. There's like a 30, 40, sometimes higher % chance that people are going to ghost you. They're not showing up for those interviews. They're not even telling you they're not coming. They're not declining. They just don't show up. Sometimes they show up for the interviews. They do great. You hire them. They don't show up on the first day of work. They ghost you there too. So showing up is really important, but showing up the right way is what's going to get you the job. Unless, the industry is hit so bad that they're just looking for a pulse.
You mentioned a word I wanted to bring up with you too, and that's why it's important to listen. You said the word ghosting. It doesn't apply to dating. Everybody thinks ghosting just applies to dating. It applies to jobs and careers now.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a lot of employees offer employees jobs and they ghost them. But there's also a number of companies where somebody applies for a job and the company doesn't even respond to them. Like they have no idea, like whatever happened to the days of, okay, you got the job or you didn't get the job. I guess companies don't have to explain to their candidates why they didn't get the job, but seems to be ghosting on both sides these days, in my opinion.
Yeah, there absolutely is. So like I said, a lot of jobs right now are getting about 200 to 500 applicants per job. If this is a really entry-level job, you're looking in the thousands range. So generally, just an application itself is not going to get a response. You're not going to get an answer from a company. You're going to get the automated response generally from them saying, we've received your application. Only those considered will be contacted. If you now have gotten an interview, there are legal changes coming in Ontario that indicate employers have to contact you to let you know that the job has closed or that you have not been selected for the job if you've had an interview. So if you've had your phone interview, if you've had an in-person interview, it is now going to be a legal requirement for that employer to reach out to you to let you know that there's no opportunity. So at least it'll reduce that ghosting a little bit.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's really important. I've been on the side, obviously, of the employer looking in the recruitment, and it's overwhelming to see all those. But a lot of the applicant tracking systems, Indeed, they have automated systems that when you close a job, it will automatically send a message to every single person who applied and let them know that the opportunity is closed and they weren't selected. You have the ability to make tailor-made contact. So I think there's a lot of technology that has made it easier for you to actually let people know so that there is no ghosting. And the reason why they've introduced this change for employers is because as an employee being on this side where I'm looking for jobs, it is incredibly discouraging to get zero responses. It is discouraging to get the rejections, absolutely. But the fact that I got a rejection means you reviewed my resume and you took the time to consider me. And, now I know I need to work harder or there's something that I need to change. I would much rather get a rejection than get nothing, because I don't know if you're now, hiring is on hold for the next 9 months. Oh, we've decided we don't have the budget for this job. or we found, 20 other people who are better suited.
I applied for a job in July that I thought the interview went well. I had
Mhm.
training with them. It went well. Unfortunately, they decided not to go through with it, but
Mhm.
I wasn't happy with their decision. But they took the time to send me a personalized email,
Yeah.
not a generic one. And they just basically told me, thank you for applying, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, whatever. I didn't agree with their decision, but
Yeah.
I have respect for that company because they
Yes.
took the time to send me an email and just let me know. They didn't like ghost me completely at all.
Yeah. And
So,
honestly, for employers that I'm really interested in, I have reached out to them. If it's been like 2 or 3 weeks since the interview, I'll reach out to them and say, hey, I thought we had a fantastic interview. We connected well.
yeah.
I'd just like to hear if the position is still open or if you've moved on with other candidates. And if they tell me they've moved on with other candidates, that's when it's an open door. Okay, great. Can you let me know how I can improve or what changes I can make in order to be successful next time? What are some areas of improvement you noted? And that way you can get regular feedback that will help you. A lot of people that I've interviewed are completely monotone. They have it's sometimes it sounds like they just woke up also. So they're just not exuding interest in the job. And because you don't have interest, there's a higher likelihood in our minds that you're going to ghost us. And so automatically you get dropped. So I really respect the companies that do reach out to you to let you know and give you a personal message, because any improvement is appreciated.
Yeah, I did write back this company and I said, thank you so much for the interview.
Mhm.
Thank you for letting me go on your tour. Thank you for the opportunity. Unfortunately, they didn't get back to me why I didn't get the job, but I took the time to say thank you for
Yeah.
the opportunity. And I said, no hard feelings and all the
Yeah.
best to you as well. So I don't believe in sour grape notes do any
No.
good. It basically any chance of a future
Yeah.
opportunity is gone with that. So from my experience, even if you don't get the answer that you want, be professional and at least I
Mhm.
think send them at least a thank you for the interview opportunity, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Absolutely. Leave the door open for future opportunities. This may not be the right fit, but a great company when they're recruiting
Yeah.
will consider you for other opportunities that come up. They'll remember you and they'll reach out to you because there's an alternate opportunity that actually matches your skill set better than the one you applied to. So always keep that door open.
And by the way, I've had some guests turn me down on here, which is fine. But then they check my body of my work, and then
Mhm.
they come back to me and say, "Yeah, Chris, we'd like to come on your show." So I tell people, no matter what you do in life, continue to be consistent, be professional,
Mhm.
and sometimes people will change their mind and come back on. It's
Yeah.
how you handle situations, even if they don't always go in your favor. Try to always remain professional
Yes.
and drop the sour grape stuff.
Yeah. That's part of the social skill, right? The social skill of talking to people, being professional, speaking to them. It's about being able to always be positive about yourself and what you can offer. People can turn you down, but that doesn't mean 10 years down the line, 5 years, a month. They might turn around and say, you know what, now there is a need for it. And you carried yourself so well. You're the person I want to talk to.
And sometimes no is not a failure, it's a temporary
No.
setback.
Yes. Yes. And it's also a learning opportunity, right? Hearing a no and finding out what you can do or figuring it out, you can now improve. And next time that's a yes, right?
Absolutely. I got to ask you this too. Have you thought about writing your own book someday? And I know you mentioned before we went live about a podcast show because
Mhm.
I think you'd really be a natural doing a podcast show and even a book from your experiences.
Honestly, there's been a few people who have told me that I should be writing a book, but I can't imagine getting all my thoughts down. Like I said, I'm a talker. So I think I just end up with long, long stories that go nowhere because I do squirrel quite a bit.
Hey, speaking of that, if you're okay for time, Shabana, I'd like to play a little video from your Instagram page. How can people follow you on Instagram and social media before we play this clip?
Yeah, I'm at the HR coach, the.hr.coach on both Instagram and TikTok. And if I ever get to making that podcast like I want to, I'll add those links later too.
And if you ever do start up a podcast and you need some assistance, please feel free to DM me and contact me. I kind of like to pay it forward to other people.
You'll be the first one I reach out to.
All right. Well, 1 second. We're going to play this clip right now. And if you can't hear the audio, we'll fire the audio guy, which is me. Just 1 second.
Concern or a complaint? Do you have a request for more training, more time, more shadowing another team member at the start of your career? This should all be documented. So what do I mean by documenting? So documentation is making sure that everything is written down, not just in your notes, but you want to make sure you are sending these messages in whatever platform your company is using, whether that's email, Teams, Slack, whatever else. You want to document your request and your submission of these complaints, these concerns, request for more training, request for shadowing, request for clarity on specific topics, because otherwise any verbal conversation you have about this will really just come back and they will say it never happened. So you want to make sure you document everything. Even if you're at a fantastic employer, you feel safe, you love your manager, question anyone above them, question people on other teams, but you're secure in your department, that doesn't make a difference. Documentation is protection. It is protection for you, protection for the company, protection for everyone involved, that it is documented, it is tracked, and steps are being taken to resolve the complaints and the concerns that you are bringing forward. If you are bringing a complaint forward, that's usually the trigger for an investigation for HR. So you want to make sure that those things from that point onwards remain confidential and you're not sharing that with anyone else, but that you are taking record. Send a follow-up email to HR or to your manager and say, thank you for meeting me today to discuss my concern regarding X. I'm looking forward to hearing what your resolution is or what you suggest we should do moving forward on this concern so that I may feel more safe, more comfortable at work. Right? So you want to make sure you always document this on record and you have proof that you've sent it, as well as proof that there has either been no response, because this will help you if this ever goes downhill, right? If you end up in a termination or layoff scenario, post submitting a complaint, submitting a concern, submitting a request for more training, you want to make sure that you have all this documentation to back you up. Put your questions about documenting what you should, what shouldn't be documented. Answers everything should be documenting. And any times that, have bit you when you didn't document and what the results were.
Thank you so much for that clip. And again, you can follow yourself on TheHRCoach on Instagram and TikTok as well.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for letting me play this video. And I had to ask you this too as well. Documenting is huge nowadays. What are your thoughts on micromanaging, workplace bullying, and harassment? And also, do you find some people use the company emails for emailing their friends and families or complaining about the company? Just thoughts on how you should be using company emails.
Yeah. So lots of people use company property, company systems for personal things. I'd say the most is usually like you've got doctor's notes, meetings, memes, inappropriate content, videos, pictures, messages being shared on the internal system. If you've got beef or you've got problems with your manager or with a coworker, don't send it in email. That is something easy for IT to go in and search. If somebody lodges a complaint against you and says they're always talking bad about me, and somebody sent me a screenshot of it, IT can easily go into the background. They can search your email and see every time that you've said something negative about that person. So you want to make sure any sort of work platform you're using is specifically only for work. You want to, vent, do that over text message. Do that personally with the person you're talking to. There is tons of bullying, toxic workplaces, micromanaging happening. Micromanagement, I would say, is the result of a terrible manager, a terrible leader. They don't know how to lead their team. They don't know how to coach. They don't know how to delegate. And it's more of that, I'm parenting a toddler, and they don't know what to do and what not to do. So I'm going to watch them like a helicopter parent or like a hawk, and I'm going to see everything that they do. I don't trust you if I'm micromanaging you. I don't trust that you're going to deliver on what you need to. I don't trust you're going to sit in your chair. I don't trust that you're actually going to be backing me as your manager. That's why you get micromanagers. So the key for good leadership is getting to know your team, talking to them, delegating the work, giving them some autonomy. As employees, I don't want someone over my shoulder constantly telling me what to do and what I did wrong. What I want is to be told exactly what the expectations are. Give me time to actually work through those, submit it to you. That's when I want your feedback. I don't want you to cut me off halfway through because I haven't even gone through to polish it yet. Give me some time to get through it. So that's definitely a type of bullying that happens. And I would always suggest going to another manager that you're comfortable with, or going to HR if you're comfortable with HR, to talk about it and to talk about different methods that you can use in talking to that manager, how you can resolve it, how you can ask for more time and more space. And usually HR will help you with that, but they'll also on the side go talk to that manager and not say that there was specific feedback from one person, but ask them, what is your management style? How do you approach things? How do you talk to people? Because, we've spoken to all of these people when they were first hired, and they do better with this type of leadership style. So is that what you're doing? Right? So that's kind of how you get around there. When it comes to the workplace bullying, again, this is part of there being no filter. People just say whatever's on their mind. They make a lot of comments. I had a poster in my office a while ago that said, if it's really funny, it's probably not approved by HR and it's probably harassment. So if you find that talking about other people, making comments, you guys are laughing a lot, having way too much fun, and you're looking over your shoulder to see who's coming, that's probably not appropriate for the workplace. Keep it outside of work, hang out, do personal time. But if you need to double check who's around you before you say something, it's not appropriate for the workplace. And in those scenarios, I've had lots of people come to me and say, I overheard this in the lunchroom and it made me really uncomfortable. This happens quite a bit. And so then I'm having conversations with people about what is appropriate to say in the lunchroom and what is not. It doesn't matter that the person you're speaking to is comfortable, but everybody else around you was very uncomfortable with that topic. So really just being aware of our surroundings and where we are before we start delving into just inappropriate or racist, discriminatory or harassive comments.
Do you find companies nowadays, especially in Ontario, when they hire somebody to be put them in a management position, they're giving them enough training? And can you talk to us a little bit about your leadership coaching as well? And I've seen managers, and I've gone through this, where they've kind of bullied me and belittled me as well in front of others.
Yeah, I'm sorry for laughing. There is zero leadership training happening out there. There's very few companies that are actually investing management and leadership training in their team. Some of them are using a lot of self-paced training, which means that whenever the person wants, they can log on and learn. If they're not interested, they'll never do it. And usually you'll find the people that are terrible managers are the ones that just never bother to pay attention, to get some training or anything. There's a lot of managers that get promoted because they're fantastic doers. I was great at doing my last job. I got promoted, but I have no idea how to manage people. And the company never invests in that. They don't teach you how to have those uncomfortable conversations, how to give feedback. You went from being a coworker to being a manager. And it's a very drastic change. And you don't realize it, but you used to make jokes about the manager, and now you're the butt of the joke. And if you don't know how to lead your team because you've never been given that training, it's really difficult to actually connect with them and get that buy-in and have a cohesive team. A lot of the complaints you see from managers that come up that I've listened to, I look at it and it kind of traces back to failure in leadership, right? You didn't clarify correctly, therefore this resulted in this. You didn't provide the information, that's why it happened. You didn't give them the feedback that this was inappropriate a year ago, and now it's escalated to a point where we're at termination or something really abusive or aggressive has happened, right? So nobody's been trained and they're just running out there without that training. And so having somebody who's had 10 or 15 years of experience, you don't know if they've had leadership training in that. So that's kind of the number one question when you're interviewing somebody in leadership, is not just how many years you've been in leadership, but how much training have you done? Have you done anything to keep up? What type of training have you had? How do you feel about uncomfortable conversations? How do you provide feedback and constructive feedback? What would your team say to us? Give us some references of team members who have reported to you. I want to hear from them.
What are your thoughts quickly on unions?
Ooh, another big one. So as HR, I've just never believed that we need to have unions, because if you've got a good HR person, and you've got leadership that is interested in really engaging, it's a people first organization, you don't have a need for a union, because your HR is that representative that is speaking on your behalf, and they're trying to translate the messages that are coming from you into leadership speak so that they can understand it and how it impacts the bottom line. You've got that go between. But there's lots of employers out there that are not people first. They're company first, organization first. They only care about the bottom line. They're very abusive and terrible to their staff. So in those instances, a union is absolutely needed, absolutely needed. And I would say the biggest complaint I hear about HR, where you're part of the company, or you're a representative of only the company, and people have said, maybe HR needs to be third party, external to the company, so it can actually have an impact. One, that's HR consulting. However, as a consultant, I can't force you to take my advice and implement it. But a union rep, that's what a union rep is. They're essentially your HR rep that is holding the company accountable, and they're external to the company. So their only focus is you, not the bottom line, not the company, not what it wants to push forward and its agenda. Their focus is you. So that union is representing you as an employee. And most unionized places have better pay, better benefits, better grievance and disciplinary processes. The only downside, and it has been my sticking point and the reason why I don't like unions, is that if you get promoted or if you want a promotion, it's not always based on merit, but it's based on seniority, right? That's where my issue comes in, because you can be new to the organization, but fantastic. But somebody who's been there for 20 years, who's now given up and does absolutely nothing, is still going to be the person who's next in line for the promotion. That's my only beef with it. But other than that, I definitely think unions support people. So far, the only people who have reached out to me on TikTok for questions have been unionized employees with proper grievance procedures in place, just asking if, the steps being taken are right. And a union will always go above the minimum standards.
What are your thoughts on wrongful termination? Do you find nowadays, from your experiences as an HR person and consultant, that there's more wrongful terminations these days?
Yeah. So in Ontario in particular, you don't have to give a reason for termination. So anybody can say, hey, I don't want you here and I'm going to terminate you tomorrow. As long as they're giving you the minimum payouts that's required by law, then that's legal. I would say employment lawyers are inundated and completely full and constantly busy. So if you reach out to them, they are constantly in litigation on constructive dismissal, or wrongful termination suits, because employers are trying to lowball as much as possible. They're choosing to take a risk to terminate you without the proof that they can terminate you, and hoping that, either you're too dumb to get legal advice, or you don't have enough money to actually pay for legal support. So if your financials are really low, you can actually get legal aid. So I suggest anybody gets legal aid if they need to get that type of support. There are employment lawyers that provide you with free consultations. You can do that. There's contingency pay. And so they'll only take money from whatever the winning is if you don't have the money to pay for per hour. So definitely that's what my HR coach platform is for, is if you feel like you've been dealt a raw deal, is it actually a layoff or is it wrongful dismissal? Is it wrongful or is it constructive dismissal? Where does it fall? Do you have rights? Should you talk to a lawyer? Should you push this or just give up and move on? Reach out to me. That's what I'm reviewing. That's what I'm talking to you about, because a lot of people get a really raw deal because you're trying to get lowballed so that they don't have to spend as much money on that termination. But in the end, you likely are owed quite a bit.
And finally, we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes. I could probably talk to you for 4 or 5 hours, but from your personal experience as an HR consultant and an HR coach, when should somebody move on from a company? When it's like, it's time?
Yeah. So it's a little bit, if you find that mentally it's very draining, you're waking up every morning and you're dreading getting up and going to work. You're already on Sunday and you're just hating the fact that you're only one day away and you're already stressing about what's coming. You come home exhausted, tired, you have zero energy for the rest of your life. You don't remember what your hobbies or your interests in. Or you try to go into a hobby that you already had pre-existing to your employment, and now there's no more happiness left. Like you're not actually deriving any happiness. You're not enjoying it. You're completely depleted. You need to walk away. If you find that there is a lot of abuse and harassment or a toxic workplace, get all of your proof, document everything, and walk out that door. That is, for that one, it's considered constructive dismissal. You can quit due to a toxic workplace as long as you have all the proof, and then you go to a lawyer and they can then start a constructive dismissal case with your employer saying that the workplace was so toxic that they had no choice but to leave. It was not an option to stay on longer. But make sure you get that proof, talk to a lawyer before you leave to make sure you have the right proof and the right amount before you do that. But definitely those scenarios, abuse, toxic managers, if it's just a toxic workplace that supports bad behavior and the people who get the results but are rude and abusive to others are the ones that always get promoted, you want to get out of there.
I had to ask you this as well because I've been told by employment lawyers too in the past that it's better to get terminated than to quit. Can somebody quit a job and still have a legal case against that company?
Yeah, that's constructive dismissal.
Okay.
So constructive dismissal is when the workplace was so bad, the conditions were bad, it was a toxic workplace, or they treated you terribly. And so you had no choice but to resign and look for alternate employment, right? And in those cases, you have to bring your proof with you to showcase it, because if this does end up in a court, you want to be able to provide proof for that as well. But the onus falls to the employer to prove that they were not constructively dismissing you. I've heard lots of people, I've heard lawyers even sometimes suggest, give them a hard time. You don't like them being here. Just give them a lot of responsibilities. If you know there's specific things they don't like to do, make sure that you're telling them they have to do it, and then they'll just leave. And that way you don't have to fire them. They'll have just quit on their own. But you can quit and file a constructive dismissal lawsuit.
Because I've experienced it, and I'm sure other people have, where they've had to leave companies because the environment was so toxic. Yeah. The money wasn't worth the mental health and their physical health.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, for constructive dismissal, it's better on you to leave as quickly as possible. Get all your proof and leave quickly. The longer you stay in that bad workforce and toxic environment, it's seen as you accepting the terms of employment and accepting the change. So, for example, somebody who suddenly, they fired 3 people and now all of their job responsibilities have fallen to you. You haven't gotten a pay increase, you haven't gotten a promotion, but you've now gotten tons more workload. Your hours of work have shifted because now you can't get it done in your 9 to 5. You have to work extra, and you're salaried, so you're not being compensated. That is enough for constructive dismissal. So leave as quickly as you can, but with the proof that you need.
Do you find people are now more self-employed than in the past? And do you find people now prefer to work at home than in a company work environment?
Yeah. So the self-employment is definitely there. I don't know that it's more. I think it's just more prevalent that we know about it. It's out there more often. We can actually see it because we have access to social media and so much information. Everybody wants to be their own boss, and we've all been burned in our own employment and our own experiences that we don't want to put ourselves through employment again. We don't want to be reporting to somebody who could abuse us or take advantage of us and leave us in a position where, I'm now out of a job and I don't have money and I don't know how I'm going to support myself. So I think a lot of people are trying to take self-employment on specifically to protect themselves and make sure that they have regular income and regular supports as a backup. And that they don't want to report to terrible managers. And definitely the next generation that is now entering the workforce, they've seen their parents give everything blood, sweat, and tears to a company and be thrown out like yesterday's trash, right? So they know that it doesn't matter how loyal they are. It doesn't matter how much they work. They're just an employee. And so they're not going to work hard. They're not going to go above and beyond. And they also don't value the input from their managers because, you could cut me tomorrow. Why should I care what you say to me right now? So a lot of people are going into self-employment. When it comes to work from home, I think there is a huge drive. A lot of people want to work from home, and the jobs of working from home are diminishing out there, and they're slowly closing up. It started because of COVID. Lots of employers were already working from home before COVID, but the huge push, because it was either you have a job and you're working, so you're working from home, or nobody has a job and economy just is on a standstill because we refuse remote work. So when it was beneficial to the company, they introduced work from home to everyone, and people enjoyed it. They got healthier. They started eating more meals at home. They got to take better rest breaks. They were connecting with their family more. There was a better work-life balance. And then they were really able to focus because there wasn't the constant noise of the chatter and the drama and the office politics that was coming to your door. You were able to just focus on your job and get it done. So a lot of people thoroughly enjoyed it. All the introverts out there loved it, right? Because now I don't have to deplete my social battery because I have to be in an office all day long talking to people who barge into my office, whether I have a meeting going or not. But the opportunities are diminishing now. So a lot of employers are mandating people back to the office. And I think this kind of comes back to the micromanaging. They're more focused on how many hours you're sitting in the chair visually than the actual results that you're driving, the actual projects you're completing, which is really what the focus is. If you're focused on KPIs, key performance indicators, you should be results oriented. So it shouldn't matter how many hours I'm sitting in that chair. If I can produce what you want in 4 hours, then I've done my job.
Finally, can you tell our audience about all the services you provide as an HR coach, and what's the best way of contacting you, and any plans for a website in the future?
Yeah. So as the HR coach, I'm there for you as an employee. So if you're looking for guidance on you've been terminated or laid off and you don't know if you have any rights or if you should pursue legal action, if you should even spend time considering it, you can reach out to me. If you're looking for questions on how to navigate something that's happening in the workforce, how to talk to your manager, your leaders, executives, HR, there's maybe an investigation going on, you've been put on a PIP, come to me. I'm happy to support you. I do a lot of the support for free. If we can do maybe 15-minute consultation, completely free. I don't charge anyone for it. If you want more, if we need more time, I need to review emails and documents before you share it with your employer, then there will be a small fee for that, but I'll put that on my TikTok. And then I'm also available to employers. If you're looking for employee relations, recruitment, strategies, engagement, diversity, equity, and inclusion, I'm here to provide that support. I've got a retainer that I offer per month, or you can pay per hour.
Is there an email where people can reach you by email or just DM on social media?
They can DM me on social media, or you can email the.hr.coach@outlook.com. The website is in the works. I've already started putting it together. I just haven't finalized it yet.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
And as we wrap up this show, what's some fun facts or a fun fact about yourself?
Ooh, I hated these questions. I never have a fun fact. I'm a really silly person. And if you think you're getting your standard HR, you are not. You're getting your best friend who wants to gab with you, talk to you, get to the bottom of it. But then I want to help you, really lift you up and help you do well. I'm a mom of 3 boys, 2 of which are special needs. So my house is always a mess. It's always crazy. It's always loud. And there's always something breaking somewhere around here. So don't question it if you see chips on the wall. Or if you see multiple different colors on the wall either, because they've gone rogue with markers before.
I wish I had you as an HR person.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're very approachable, and a lot of people and myself have had experiences where HR wasn't approachable or they didn't feel like it. So to me, I wish I had you as an HR person. You're very approachable and very friendly, and you know what you're talking about.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think that's that's the shock factor for a lot of people I've worked with, where they'll go, "You're not regular HR. You're not what I expected." And that's how I can make the changes and how I can help you, is because you can actually connect with me. I can talk to you. We can build a relationship, and I can really help you through that relationship.
Because I know sometimes when you deal with HR people, and myself, we play small, and
Yeah. Yes.
and it's just nice to have you on here. And as we wrap up this show, this is a new segment I do. It's called Ask the Host CDP a Question. Do you have a question for me to put me on the hot seat?
Oh boy. How do you find your different people to come onto the show, and how do you connect with them?
I think from my former career in security, when I worked in a gambling facility, I dealt
Mhm.
with wealthy people, poor people, deal with people that are
Mhm.
middle class. So I think my former career kind of prepared me for this, because when you're in security, you have to deal with all kinds of people, all kinds of situations. And I think it's prepared me for this. And I think my life experience, being older now, I'm 53, by the way, has helped me. And I don't think I would have been ready to do this in my 20s and stuff. They didn't have
Mhm.
this technology back in the 90s and stuff like that. And I don't think I would have been ready. So I think my former career, in a way, prepared me for doing this, to answer your question.
I have a follow-up. What is the craziest security related question, like security related incident you've gone through?
When I first started in security in 1999, I can't say the company's name or whatever.
Yeah.
My first week on the job, there was a person being asked to leave the casino because they were doing something in the casino they shouldn't have been doing. And as we got out to the vehicle, they grabbed a chain from the back of their truck and started swinging it. So
Wow.
everybody and myself, we disengaged and basically ended up having to call the police.
Yeah.
And the police came and had to get the guy that dropped the chain with pulling out one of the revolvers. And I'm thinking, oh, geez. So, yeah, my first week on the job, yeah, we had to
Oh my.
call the police for that. But what I'm most proud about in my time as a security officer, I never had to physically arrest somebody. I always made sure I communicated with them, I listened to them. And sometimes people, when they leave, they're angry, they're depressed, they're
Yeah.
sad. If you listen to them and you show
Mhm.
empathy, they eventually will comply. So I think my biggest strength in security was being able to get people to comply with me and show them empathy. And I think that career has prepared me in this career. So even though I left my other company in a work divorce, I call it, in a way, it kind of prepared me for this second career into radio and media. And I love talking to people, and I love storytelling and learning. And I want to keep growing as a professional broadcaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that story. That was wild.
Well, thank you so much, and I just love what I'm doing. And whatever you do in life, it's important to find your passion. And you don't have to be a teenager. You can find your passion at 50, 60, 70,
Mhm.
80 years old as well.
Yep. You can keep on going no matter what age.
And finally, where can our audience again follow you on your social media platforms if you'd like to promote them before we wrap up?
Yep. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the.hr.coach. Most of the content is the same. Some of the stories are a little bit different, but feel free to drop in. I'd love to see you.
I want to say, Shabana, thank you so much for giving us almost 90 minutes of your time. I apologize if I kept you longer than we originally scheduled, but you had a great story to share with, and I really appreciate you coming on this platform. And you have an open invite to come back on again and continue success. And give me a little bit of time tonight, and I'll send you the full video, the audio, and then I will break the video into 30, 40, 50-second clips for those people who don't have 90 minutes to watch the full show as well.
Yeah.
You have to do a little bit of everything nowadays because
Yeah.
everybody's attention spans are diminishing.
Absolutely. It definitely is. We like those quick little tidbits to get through,
Yeah.
and you can hit the next as many times as you want, but the video needs to be short while you're watching it.
Speaking of short too, I'm now 5'6". I used to be 5'9".
Well, I'm 5'1.5", and that half is very important to me. So people need to not ignore it.
One day you'll be looking down at me.
We'll see. We'll see. I think I'm going to
Okay.
get shorter too.
But hey, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. It was great to connect with you on TikTok, and thank you for having Face coming on my show. And if you could give me a little feedback later on, that would be great, because the only way I want to get better as a professional is to get feedback and just keep having great shows. And it's the guests that make a great show. And I want to say thank you so much for doing this again.
Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Totally fine with giving you as much time as you needed. And I am so going to take you up on that offer to come back when you have some free time, because I really enjoyed this.
I do have 2 other podcast shows. One is the football one, so probably maybe not the football one, but I have one called the Small Talk Podcast with my co-host Marlene Sharp. She's at Los Angeles in the ammunition industry, and I think Marlene and you would get along great. So maybe in November, into November, December, we could have you on the Small Talk Podcast as well.
Sounds great. I'll look forward to it.
Thank you so much, and have a great afternoon, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks. You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right, everyone. That wraps up season 11, episode 55, 605. That wraps up. I'm going to say this again. Sometimes I speak too fast. That wraps up season 11, episode 55, overall 605 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. And I have another announcement to make too before we wrap this up. The next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again brought to you by BarryCullen.com, on Thursday, October 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern, with Christine Lisi from ESPN Radio to come on and talk Major League Baseball playoffs and preview the Blue Jays and Dodgers World Series. 6 p.m., Kim Tweed and Emily Paul for a Confidentially Controversial podcast is on as well. So 1 o'clock, Christine Lisi from ESPN Radio to talk the World Series with us and maybe a little bit about Josh Allen and her struggling Buffalo Bills. And then 6 p.m., Emily Paul and Kim Tweed from the Confidentially Controversial podcast, a podcast show about 80s and 90s movies, will come on and talk about some of their latest episodes and some of the latest 80s and 90s movies they've reviewed as well. So not one, but 2 shows tomorrow. 1 o'clock was Christine Lisi. 6 o'clock was Emily Paul and Kim Tweed as well. And as we wrap up the show, guys, as always, Barry Cullen Chevrolet, 0% financing at all remaining 2025 Chevrolet models on limited terms. 2025 Silverado 1500 RST Crew Cab, 0% for 84 months. Ends on October 27th. Hurry up, October 27th, 2025. More details at barrycullen.com or drop by the dealership located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. And again, Barry Cullen Chevrolet is the proud sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Again, I want to say thank you to my guest Shabana Mota for coming on, and you can follow her on TikTok, on Instagram, and I put it on the graphics here at the HR.Coach or the HR.Coach. I put her graphics there as well, and hopefully one day she'll have a website as well. And as we wrap up this show, guys, I am on Cameo.com. If you'd like a personalized video message from yours truly, CDP, go to Cameo.com and type in Chris Pame. I do happy birthday wishes, happy anniversary, congratulations. Or if you guys want to ask me questions about my 3 talk shows and my freelance media work and some of my favorite interviews in my career, go to Cameo.com, book your Cameo today. You can also follow this content creator on Blue Sky Social. Blue Sky Social is like what Twitter used to be, at Live with CDP19 on Blue Sky Social. If you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website, CambridgeHumaneSociety.org. All the animals that are up for adoption, their profiles are on CambridgeHumaneSociety.org. And also, the Cambridge District Humane Society, every Wednesday, they have a pet emergency fund for those people in the Cambridge area who are struggling financially with the high cost of pet food. So if you have pet food at home, dog food, cat food, bunny food, any kind of pet food, please consider dropping it off at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge. It's right across from the Cambridge Center Mall as well. And yours truly, in the next week or 2, is going to be selling some 2026 Cambridge and District Humane Society calendars. The calendars have have cats and dogs on them. They did a great job with the shoot this year. The calendars are only $10. $10, and the proceeds go back to the programs at the Cambridge District Humane Society as well. And yours truly will be selling calendars. So if you'd like one, you can DM me on my social media platforms or cpame19@gmail.com. These calendars help support the Cambridge District Humane Society, and they make a great Christmas gift or a stocking stuffer as well. They do great work down at the Cambridge District Humane Society with Michelle Glatley, the executive director, and the entire staff there as well. And I volunteer down there twice a week, walking dogs as well. And please make sure if you're looking to adopt, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society. You can't buy happiness, but you can adopt it at the Cambridge District Humane Society. So please check them out. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and share. You can check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. You can also follow this content creator on TikTok at Chris Palme. This is how I meet some of my guests, is through TikTok. So check me out on TikTok at Chris Palme. And I want to say thank you to my 1,100 followers on TikTok as well. I have more great content coming there as well. And I also posted my Blue Jays Dodgers World Series predictions and thoughts on my TikTok page there as well. So go to Chris Palme and check out my TikTok and make sure you follow there as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or live streaming, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans or paid professional plans like I have. Or if you're a business that does a lot of live streaming webinars, go to StreamYard.com and their sales department for business pricing as well. And I've been with StreamYard.com going on 5 years. I highly recommend it. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio version is on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share there as well. Finally, you can email the show Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpame19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you like to support my YouTube channel and my media work, I am on PayPal. Just type in Chris Palme if you'd like to help support my YouTube channel and my media work there as well. Or book a video with me through cameo.com and type in Chris Palme. Finally, guys, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere except Snapchat. And please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Chris Palme Live with CDP Talk Show. And I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and viewers on my YouTube channel as well. And that wraps up today's show. I want to say thank you again to my guest, Shabana Mota, an HR coach and an HR consultant, for coming on here today. And I'm hoping to have her back on my show again in the future. And that wraps it up. We do have sports on tonight. The Detroit Red Wings. My Detroit Red Wings take on the Buffalo Sabres tonight, 7:30 at the KeyBank Center. The Red Wings are going for their 6th straight win against the Sabres team that's struggling at 2-4. Buffalo native Patrick Kane will not be in the lineup tonight. He's going to be out for a couple more games with an injury. And we have NBA tonight. The Detroit Pistons and Cade Cunningham open up their 25-26 NBA season against the Chicago Bulls at the United Center at 8 o'clock as well. And of course, the 2025 World Series between your Toronto Blue Jays and the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Game 1, Friday night, October 23rd, 8 o'clock at the Rogers Center. The Jays do have home field advantage in this series, having one more win than the Dodgers in the regular season. But as you guys have seen me here on social media, I am picking the Dodgers to win the World Series for the 2nd straight year and 3rd time in 6 years. And I am calling a sweep. So if I'm wrong, I will eat my words and eat humble pie here. But I think the Dodgers are a better team defensively, offensively, pitching wise, and they have more experience. The Dodgers have been in 5 World Series in the last 9 years. This is the Blue Jays' first World Series trip in 32 years. And really, how much gas do the Blue Jays have left in their tanks, having to go 4 games against the Yankees, 7 against Seattle, and against the Dodgers in the National League playoffs? They took care of Philadelphia in 4 quick games, and they swept Milwaukee in 4 games. Dodgers have been off for over a week. They're healthy and well rested, and they're highly motivated. And Shani Ohtani and Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy. I just think the Dodgers have the better roster. They have more championship pedigree, and I do feel the Dodgers will sweep the Jays in 4. But I do think it'll be a competitive series. I'm not saying the Dodgers will win in 4 games of blowouts. I just think they're going to win 4 games that are going to be very competitive. But I just think the LA Dodgers have a little more of an edge as well. And this has nothing to do with country versus country. This is the Dodgers roster against the Blue Jays roster as well. That wraps up today's show. Again, I want to say thank you to my guest Shabana Mota for coming on here, and thank you to everyone for watching this live stream and on my audio platforms. And we'll be back tomorrow for 2 shows with Christine Lisi at 1 o'clock from ESPN Radio, and 6 o'clock, Emily Paul and Kim Tweed from the podcast show called Confidentially Controversial. It's a show about the 80s and 90s movies that these 2 ladies review as well. I hope everybody has a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for more editions of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership here in Guelph. Have a good afternoon, everybody.